Good morning, students. Last time we discussed about the short period production function, is not it? So today we shall discuss about the long period production function, that is the laws of returns to scale. Okay? Returns to scale or the long period production function. Now, as I told you earlier, that long period is a period in which, in order to increase output, we can change both fixed cost and variable cost. In fact, in long period, there is no fixed cost because every cost is variable. So in long period, production function takes a different trend, a different movement, because when all inputs are changeable, what will be the output? That is the point of discussion of long period production function. Returns to scale. Returns means output. Scale means input. Now, scale means when both inputs are changeable. Let's say we have two inputs, labor and capital. When both labor and capital can be changed at the same proportion at the same time, we call it as scale. Scale means matra. Okay, so scale means when we can change both inputs in simultaneously in the same proportion, we call it as scale. So what will be the return if we change the scale? That is the concept that we want to discuss. So long period production function refers to a production function in which all inputs, all the resources can be changed simultaneously. Let's say we have two inputs, fixed cost, variable cost. Both fixed cost and variable cost can be changed. Fixed cost refers to capital, variable cost refers to labor. So both labor and capital can be changed. What will be the shape of the output or the return? Now, in this case, when both the variables can be changed, output will take three different forms. Okay? Three different forms. So returns to scale, as in case of the short period production function, we divided the production function into three stages. Stage 1, increasing return. Stage 2, decreasing return. Stage 3, negative return. In this case also, we can divide the entire production function into three stages or three phases. The first phase is constant return to scale. Second is diminishing return to scale. Third is increasing return to scale. Okay, let us discuss one by one. First is constant return to scale. Constant returns to scale. Now, constant return to scale means when the proportion of change of scale and the return remain constant throughout the production process. We call this as constant return to scale. That is, whatever the percentage of change in input we give, that will be the percentage of change in output we get. That is, the percentage change of input and output remain constant throughout the production process. We call this as constant return to scale. Here, the change in input and change in output are very much proportional to each other. They are same. So this is also called as production function of first degree or the linear and homogeneous production function. Because input, if rises by 10%, output also rises by 10%. Input falls by 20%, output also falls by 20%. So this is called constant returns to scale. Let's show it in form of a diagram. Let's say this is OX axis, this is Y axis. Here we measure capital, here we measure labor. And let's say we draw three input lines. Let's say this is OP, this is OP1, this is OP2. We also draw four isoquants. This is one isoquant, this is another isoquant, this is another isoquant. Let's say draw three isoquants. This is isoquant IQ1, IQ2, IQ3. We can name it as A, B and C. In this OX axis we measure labor, here we measure capital. Now these are the isoquants producing isoquants. So isoquants are equal product curves. Okay, isoquants are equal product curves. An isoquant shows equal degree of production in all levels of the isoquant. At whatever point you touch, you get the same quantity of output. Of course, you can change the different combination of labor and capital, but the output remain constant. Let's say this output is 100, this output is 200, this output is 300. Okay. Now you see, suppose we want to produce this much amount of OQ amount of output. We have to give OP amount of, let's say, cost. Cost means input of capital and labor. Now if you want to increase output, how much amount of input you are giving extra? We are moving from A to B, again B to C. If we move from A to B, we are giving this much extra amount of input. Now how much extra amount of output you are getting? From 100 you are going to 200, 100 amounts. Again from B to C if you go, then you are getting from 200 to 300 output. So here output increases by 100 points and input is increasing in the same quantity. You see here AB is equal to BC. So AB is equal to BC means whatever input we increase by AB, that is same amount of input we are increasing by BC. So here input, rise in input is equal to rise in output. So this is called constant return to scale. Therefore, if all inputs are variable, all inputs can change, then production function may be constant. Constant return to scale means exact amount of input will give to exact amount of rise in output. Right? So this is first constant return to scale. Second is increasing return to scale. Let's say increasing returns to scale. Increasing returns. As the name suggests, increasing return means when change in input is less and change in output is more. That is, if you apply 10% extra unit of input, then output rises by 30%. If we increase input by 20%, output rises by 50%. Here, rise in output, rise in returns is more than the rise in input. That is a case which we call as increasing return to scale. Okay? See here, same labor and capital. Same input lines. This is ISO point 1, ISO point 2, ISO point 3. Let's say again 100, 200, 300. See here, A, B, C. This is increase in return. Remember, when you talk of increase in return, the other name is diminishing cost. When there is increasing return, when the returns increase, the cost relatively falls. So increasing return also means diminishing cost. You see here, by giving extra input AB, we increase output by 100. Now again to increase output to 100, we have to give less amount of input, that is BC. So here BC is less than AB. That is, we have to incur less amount of cost to have the same amount of output. So this is called increasing return or diminishing cost. Or we can say here AB more than BC. Here we are giving, as we produce more and more, as we go to increase output, we have to incur less and less cost. Okay, that is diminishing cost or increasing return. Now question is, why does it happen like this? It happens like this, that when you give less input, output rises more. Why it happens like this? Because of two reasons. The first reason is indivisibility of the factors. In the initial stage of production, what happens? The fixed cost is very much fixed. Very large quantity of fixed cost is employed with a small amount of input. Therefore, as we go on increasing the input in the initial stage, the output becomes more and more proportionate. And secondly, you can say because of greater specialization. As Chamberlain says, because of greater specialization, when we increase the input, output becomes more and more proportionate. Because you know there is technical change, there is technical marvel, there is new technologies coming out. So in that case, there is more labor specialization, more skilled labor coming out, so there is more division of labor, as a result of which whatever input we give, output increases more than the rise in input. We can simply have an example for this. You take two pipes. One pipe is half inch diameter, another pipe is 1 inch diameter. Now, if the water flow is same in both the cases, then we have just doubled the input. We have increased the pipe from half inch to 1 inch, just double the input. But the water flow will be much more than that. In a half inch pipe, if water fills a bucket of water in 10 minutes, in a 1 inch pipe, that bucket of water will be filled within 2 minutes. So here this is increasing returns. That is, when you give input to certain extent, the output rises more than proportionately. Okay. The third is diminishing returns. We can write it diminishing returns. Now, diminishing return means, the other name is increasing cost. Diminishing return means when the rise in input is more than the rise in output. If you raise the input by 50% and output rises by only 20%, that is a case of diminishing returns. So diminishing return in case of, you see here, returns diminish means output falls or output is less than the rise in input. If input rises by 40%, output rises by 10%, we call this as diminishing returns. So diminishing return operates in the latter stage of production. When you go on increasing output, this diminishing return operates. Why? Again you question, why does it happen like this? Why, if we can change both inputs, then why does the output becomes less and less proportionate? The reason being, you see, in the long period, we can change all inputs except one, that is entrepreneur. That is fixity of entrepreneurship. The entrepreneur service, the management service is fixed. Whether you produce 10 units, whether you produce 20 units, whether you produce lakh units, the entrepreneur is the same, one person. So as production goes on increasing, what happens? The management becomes weak. The management cannot manage the industry, manage the production in the same efficient manner as he was doing earlier. And again, what happens? When there is more and more laborers employed, there is more labor unrest, strikes, lockouts, bonds. They demand higher wages, and there is a lot of time spent unnecessarily. So production falls, but cost increases. So this is a case why there is a diminishing return operates. So we can show it in a diagram. See here. So diminishing return means increasing cost. Cost will go on increasing. See here, if this is 100, this is 200, this is 300, this is 400. To increase the output by the same amount, 100, 200, 300, 400, what we have to incur? Here we give less cost. In the second stage, our cost increases. In the third stage, again cost increases. If this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. You see here, CD more than BC more than AB. That is, the cost in every production time, the cost increases, but the output becomes constant. Output constant, but cost going on increasing. So it is a case of diminishing returns. Okay. Therefore, these are the three types of returns to scale. One is constant return to scale, other is increasing return to scale, third is diminishing returns to scale. Now, as in the long run, whether it is short run or long run, it doesn't matter. In the long run also, cost will also increase, output will also diminish. And remember, in the long run, we can change both fixed and variable, but still then, we can change both, but still the cost will increase and the returns will diminish. It is because in the long run, every cost is changeable, variable, except one, that is the cost of the entrepreneur. Remember one entrepreneur who produced 10 units, same entrepreneur, 100 units, same entrepreneur, thousands units, lakh units, same entrepreneur. So the entrepreneurial activity, the entrepreneurial supervision becomes weak, becomes inefficient, as a result of which production, there is laxity in production, there is loose in production. So production, in the production field, discipline is lost, there is indiscipline occurs, and the laborers, they go on strikes, they go on lockouts, they go on bonds, though they demand higher wages, and for these, all these, naturally we have in diminishing returns and increasing cost. So in the long run also, production function follows three different distinct stages. One is increasing return, other is diminishing return, the third one is constant returns to scale. Okay, so this is all about the long period production function, or the law of returns to scale. So these are the two production functions that I had discussed to you. Try to watch the videos and learn something, because in the coming days there may be college opening or may not be, so we have to complete the course. So therefore, please see the videos and give me remarks. Thank you.